Salutations. Welcome to Ralph Reads, brought to you by TURN, the United Ronin Networks. My name is Ralph Anthony Garcia, also known as R4. The legal, the loyal, the regal, the royal, Ronin Ralph, your master of ceremonies. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, join the channel starting at 99 cents per month for exclusive members-only content. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tune in to TURN, the United Ronin Networks. We are Ronin. On tonight's edition of Ralph Reads, I bring the finale of Andrew Stonewall Jackson's Gentleman Pimp, a Holloway House original. So then, let's begin. How pretty is my city, just as loud as it is shitty. Isn't it a pity it is all such a mess? Let the reading commence. Chapter 23. I hipped her about her wife-in-law, and I also told her where she was working. Slim accepted things without a beef, and I felt good just knowing that she was an adult. Slim took a bath, fixed something to eat, and after we were through, we went to her place and went to bed. We got up at 8:30 p.m. and had coffee. While she was dressing, I broke down to her all the little things she needed to know that would make life a bit easier for her. I hipped her to the fact that all men like hurting a woman when he is putting his to her, as if she made him think he was killing her. He draws it out a lot quicker. I told her to make a guy think he has a hit of hell, even if it's not as large as her. Talk that close built to him. It's his nature you want to take care of, not him. I pulled her coat to what she should do when she really ran into a trick that had a bull head. I told her the way to keep him from hurting her was to place her knees lightly on his ribs. Just let him touch him, and he won't be able to go any than you want him to. I told her to carry her bread in her stockings at the instep of her foot. I also told her if she gets an all-night date to leave word with the bartender or call me. I told her to watch all the other girls. Seeing how they take care of business will mean a lot. And if you feel they're doing it wrong, then you do it your way.
Daddy, you think this kind of thing like it's a business. How did you come to learn all this you're telling me?
Slim, it is a business with me. The oldest there is, I've heard. I learned most of it from your wife-in-law and a little from some other girls I've had. Who knows? I just might learn something from you. And baby, if you should want me, call the High One, or the bar on 118th Street, or your ex-bosses, or the pad. Slim stood in front of me, ready for her first night as a girl for sale. Baby, you look good, and if you wasn't my rib, I'd try to spend some bread on you myself. How much money you got?
I got $60. It was my pay for the few days I worked.
Give me 35 of it. Put 15 in your stocking for mad money and put the dime in your purse. Let it be that way all the time. A dime is the most you carry in your purse. Righteous, baby? As we rolled to the club, I was still lighting her pipe to the things I wanted her to do. And as the big hog moved on to the East Side Drive from 125th Street, I said, Slim, if I get word that you've been smoking pot with any of them girls, I'll crack your head. So baby, get that in your mind now.
All right, Daddy, no pot.
You keep sounding more like my woman every time you open your mouth. Baby, you can run into a trick that may want you to do something to him that may seem sick to you. When it happens, I want you to do it.
What do you mean, something sick?
Sweetheart, you might run into a lot of off-base things with these actors. Some of them might want you to Marvel out. Just do it, and don't feel it's a sick act. Look at it like it is. It's his nature. Satisfy it. And baby, be prepared for a 3-base hit should a trick request it.
You mean I should like I do yours if he asks me?
Baby doll, the only way for you not to is for you to have lockjaw. Just as I said that, we reached the bar, and before we went in, I said, "Well, Miss Fine, we're here. I want you to knock 'em dead, and keep in mind that there's no such thing as too much money." We kissed and went in. We sat at the same end of the bar where I'd sat last night. Nick, the bartender, came to us and said,
"Hi, Mr. Delane. What do you have?"
"2 ducks," I said. "Where's Frank?" He looked around and then said,
"Here he comes now."
Frank stepped up to me and Slim and said,
"Hi, Guy. How are you? Is this the property?"
"Yeah, Frank, this is it. How far wrong was I?"
"None. You really got a winner."
After I introduced him, I asked him if he wanted a taste, just as Nick was sitting the ducks on the bar. He said he had to make a move and told me to leave Slim, and the sooner I split, the better. I downed my cold duck and left, leaving Slim on her own. The place had many well-known people in it then, so I was sure it wasn't going to be a dry run for Slim. It was 4:25 when I went back to the bar, and I caught Frank standing in front, rapping with a well-known actor. When he saw me, he went in and got her for me. He winked as though everything was kosher. A few minutes later, she came out and got in the car. We both waved at Frank, and I pulled off. Slim looked pleased and was high, so I said, "Gee, love, you must have had real big fun tonight."
"Yeah,"
she said.
"Everything was fun. And I'll bet you can't guess how much money I got."
"Whatever you got, I'll bet you it ain't enough."
"Daddy, I got $465. Here, you count it. And Daddy, one of the actors I had only wanted me to get naked and stand in the nude so he could just look at me. I had 4 well-known people tonight, people I thought were great, but I learned they were just like you and me."
She named them with pride and said,
"If the one that just wanted to look at me had known he was my favorite actor, I wonder would he have got down like he did. I wonder if his wife and family are wise to him. Well, I guess it's like you said, nature."
Things went swell for about a month. Then I received a call while I was at the High One's pad for Corrie. She was calling from her place of action to tell me Slim was there. I told the High One that I had to split because Slim was giving me road trouble on Lenox Avenue, and I'd catch him later. I only had to come from 112th Street off 8th Avenue to 111th Street and Lenox, which meant I only had 3 blocks to ride. I was there in no time. The first thing I dug was Slim in her white fur, sitting at the bar. Slim stood out like a fly in a glass of buttermilk. She saw me, but tried to act like she didn't. Corrie was sitting at the bar in front of her. I walked up to Slim, and she turned the bar stool around, and when it got to where her kisser was right in front of me, I dropped a left hook right on her chin, knocking her out and off the stool. She was on the floor with her dress up high enough to be taking snapshots of every person in the bar. Her white fur was folded back under her head with blood from her mouth dripping on it. All the hoes and tricks were looking at her and then at me. I took her drink and poured it in her kisser. I found out it not only works in the movies, it also worked in that bar. Slim came out of it, and I iced the help some of the people were gonna give her. After she stood up, I said, "Take your big funky ass out to the car and anchor." She went on out, but it was a gamble. She could have got a cab and split, or she could have got the law and put 'em on me. Yeah, things could have happened, but I had to play it to the letter. I knew Curry in the seat when I knocked a bitch that was as fine as Slim out, but I didn't do it to tighten her. She needed no tightening. She was already as tight as beeswax. I did what I did only because Slim had done what I told her not to. I'd have done the same to Curry or any bitch that was mine. I told Curry I was taking Slim home, and if she ever came into this bar again, she could consider her an outlaw because she would not be my woman. Curry, baby, did you understand what I just said? I mean just that.
Yeah, I understand what you said.
She cracked.
Wait till I get you this bread.
She gave me the money, and I went out to the car, and to my surprise, Slim was sitting in the front seat. While we rode home, we didn't speak a word to each other. But once we got in the pad, I ran the law down to her, and I ran it in a way where she knew I wasn't bullshitting. When I was through running the law of the jungle down to her, she said,
"Look at my fur, look at my dress, and look at my jaw. I can't go to work with my face like this."
It was those words that made me realize Slim must have been testing me. She wasn't upset like I thought she'd be, and she was eager to go to work. The door was open for her to give me a hard time, but she didn't. Yeah, the girl was testing me, and I guess I passed the test. She knew now she had a man who meant what he said. A bitch will test a man in a lot of ways. It's up to the man to pass it. If he don't, he can look to be pushed around, run over, and made a sucker out of, as long as he's got her. I've seen men fail to pass the test, and I've seen the outcome of it. The outcome will be she's having him, not him having her. And baby, that's a real monkey kind of life to live. Now back to Slim. The next day she went to work, and it was Curry's night of liberty. Me and her spent the night going places and doing things, and believe me, we had plenty of kicks out of getting down to the core of the apple. It was 5:30 in the morning when I dropped her off at her mother's. I told her I was going by to check Slim out and I'd dig her later. We'd share a long, tender kiss, and I split. It was 6 bells when I reached Slim's pad. We smoked, drank, rapped, and f***ed till we went to dreamland. When we came to life, we took a bath and pecked. While Slim dressed for her gig, I looked at her and thought to myself, this is the finest black woman I've ever had in my life. And believe me, I've had quite a few. Slim was too fine to be for real. Chapter 24. Slim had a very good night. That morning her take was a few bucks short of $1,000, and the next few months were all just as sweet. Then one morning I came home and found Slim sitting on the shitter, pissy drunk and out cold. Her drawers were down on the floor, and seeing her like this really did drag me. I really can't say just what happened to me, but seeing her in that kind of fix must have caused me to blow my top. She just didn't fit that kind of picture. I went and checked the spot where the bread usually was. It was there, and I picked it up and put it in my kick and felt relieved that she hadn't got beat. I went back to where she was and looked at all this woman sitting on a shit bowl, dead drunk. As choice as she was, and as nice as the bread was, the sight of her bugged me to the point where I slapped the shit out of her. When she came around, I was still slapping the shit out of her. I slapped this bitch till my hand was hurting.
Daddy, why?
Look at yourself. She looked down and pulled her panties up.
But I'm home, Daddy. The money is home, Daddy. What's the matter with you?
Yeah, I know. But the sheer thought of you being as high as you are and the thought of you being in shape to be robbed by some of them junkies that hang around that edge must have caused me to flip. So, bitch, don't ever get that tore up no more. I had Slim close to 2 years, and I only had to rock her jaw twice. That time in the bar on Lenox Avenue, and this time at the pad. I say that was pretty good with her, and few men can make that statement. I undressed and got into bed, and during the time I was undressing, I was telling her how dizzy she was for getting as drunk as she was. She was stalling and bullshitting at the mirror, looking at her face where I'd hit her. After I finished my cracking, I got into bed and opened the New York News and started to read. A few minutes passed with nothing said by either of us. Then,
Stoney!
I looked over the paper and saw Slim standing at the foot of the bed with my pistol aimed at my chin. I looked into her eyes and dug this bitch was for real. With fear in my heart, I tried to act cool. Slim baby, what are you doing with the gun? Put it down. It ain't nothing to toy with.
You know what you told me about guns, don't you?
Woe be it for me to cry. Oh Lord my God, did I know what I told her about guns? I had told her never to pull it unless you were really meant to use it. Plus, I had taught her damn near all there was to know about a gun. To top that off, I told her the way to hit what she aimed at. Yeah, I told her everything. And now, all this wisdom I put on her about guns was gonna cost me my life. I never dreamed anything like this. The gun was aimed so as to hit me between the eyes. With the thought of being taken from this earth in my mind, I said, "Come on, give me the gun. Give me the gun, Slim. What's with the gun anyway, baby?"
It's me with the gun.
She said.
And it's you I'm gonna kill first, and then I'm gonna kill myself. You've given me a whole lot of nothing for close to 2 years. You've beat on me for nothing. My mind is made up. You first, me second.
Slim, put the gun down. You're still drunk. You don't know what you're doing. To kill me and kill yourself, what would it prove? Nothing. We're both too young to die.
I'm not putting this gun down till I do what has to be done. Killing us both may not prove nothing, but then I'm not trying to prove anything. But it will get me from under the lock you got on me.
I began to think of a way to dick the bullet and a way to disarm this bitch if the chance came up. During the times I was giving her gun knowledge, I remembered one thing about her that she never failed to do when she pulled the trigger. She'd always squint her eyes. I'd slid my feet up to where they were flat in the bed, and my knees were bent upward, ready to slide backward up the bed just before she squeezed the trigger. As it stands now, it was the only thing I had going for me. And I know it wasn't much, so my life was hanging on a telltale squint. And I prayed to God not to let her pull it without that priceless squint. I thought many things during the minutes, which seemed like days, while the gun was aimed at my chin. I thought about what all the fellows would say.
Did you hear about Stoney getting did in by his rib with his own gun?
Then Slim broke my thoughts.
You didn't have to knock me down in that bar where that girl of yours works. You did it just to impress her and make a big man out of yourself. And you didn't have to slap me tonight.
Baby, it just hurt me to see you, the only girl that I love, sitting there like you were. Slim, my sweet, I'm really sorry about that. Come on, put the piece down. All the time I was rapping, I was watching for that squint. She moved around to the other side of the bed, but still at the foot. I thought about rolling over the side of the bed and dumping the bed over on her, but it was too far of a roll. Slim, you've always talked about us getting married, so we'll get married. The only reason I wasn't for it was because I was so tied up in this kind of life. And Slim, baby, it smells like armpits to me now, okay? We'll get hitched and get out of this life. Now come on and put that gun down.
Bullshit! You say anything right now. But Daddy, there is nothing you can say that'll stop me from doing what has to be done.
Well, I gotta face it. Up to then, my life was a silky one, and I enjoyed every bit of it. But now, it all was depending on a squint and how fast I could move. Looking at the gun aimed at my chin caused me to know and understand why a person gave into a hold-up, man. It's a bitch looking at the hole in the barrel and seeing all the heads of lead in the chamber. Yep, it's a real motherfucker.
I am truly sorry, Stoney.
And then suddenly, there was the squint. I started to move backward in the bed as fast as I could, and when the gun fired, I was standing up in the bed and fell off the bed with a left hook on Slim's jaw. The bullet had hit me on the inside of my right knee, and believe it or not, I still at times think of her when I see the mark that the bullet left. Because I was in standing position when I left hooked her, it meant she was really knocked out cold. She fell to the floor and the gun fell behind her head. I picked it up, removed the bullets, and put it in the drawer. I then got a towel and wrapped it around my knee to stop the blood from dripping over everything. The sound of the shot was heard by people in the building, which in turn brought the police to the pad. By the time they showed, me and her got together on what we were gonna tell them. When they knocked, Slim let them in, and the first thing they asked was about the gun. I gave it to him and told him Slim was toying around with it, and it went off. I showed them that it was registered, and they asked if I wanted them to take me to the hospital. I told them she would drive me there, and they followed us so they could be there to make out a police report. After the hospital did their thing, me and Slim went back home. The wound wasn't bad. The bullet had skinned the bone and went through the headboard of the bed and into the wall. We didn't rap at all on the way to the pad, but the bitch was crying. Baby, tell me something. Suppose you had killed me. What would you have did then?
Like I told you, I'd have killed myself too.
And baby, just what would that have proved?
I don't know. Perhaps nothing. But at that moment, that's how I felt. Please, Daddy, try to forgive me. I swear, I'm sorry.
Bitch. The last words you said before you shot me were, "I'm sorry." Bitch, tonight is supposed to be your night off, but you're gonna take your big ass to work right now. And baby, I don't want to see you till noon tomorrow. Just keep your ass in the street after the bars close. She dressed without saying a word, and at 6 o'clock, she was ready to split. I gave her some chips, and the way she took it, I could feel much went unsaid on her part. She put the bread in her purse and left without touching chops. My knee was killing me, so I thought I should latch the door and catch me some doors. I night latched the door just in case she might want to finish what she started. It was after 2 in the morning when I woke and found Slim still gone. I called 10 Greenwich Avenue and Bellevue Hospital, and I was happy to know she wasn't at either place. I ding-donged a few hospitals to see if she was there, and it was then that I found out Slim really did mean something to me. I found myself thinking a great deal about her. How about that? Me, Stonewall Jackson, being wrapped up with a girl that had tried to off me. My leg was killing me, and there was a sheer as I limped out and copped a cab to take me to the Bronx. When I got out of the cab, I tried to walk around a limp, but I couldn't. When I entered her mother's home, Curry was eating. I walked up behind her and kissed her neck, and after the surprise, she fixed me a cup of coffee. While I enjoyed my coffee, I gave her all of the details on what had happened between Slim and me. I called Slim's pad to see if she had got back, and when no one answered, I hung up and said,
"Well, she ain't home yet. Baby, I keep thinking she had pulled up stakes on me. I haven't seen nor heard from her since the day before yesterday. If it wasn't for the fact that all her things are at the pad, I'd consider her long gone. Yeah, she could have her furs and things, but I doubt if she'd leave her insurance papers."
Papi, the one thing that makes me feel she'll get in touch are those papers. So, Daddy, don't sweat it. Sit on it for a while. Sit on it a while and see what happens.
For the next 4 nights, I stayed at Slim's pad, just in case she showed. It was the morning of the 5th day that I went to the mailbox. This day, there were some bills, as always, and a letter addressed to me from Slim and postmarked Atlanta, Georgia. I opened it and read it in part.
My dearest Gemini, I guess you've been wondering what happened to me. Well, this is how it went after you sent me into the street that day. Knowing that I had had no sleep, on my way to work, I thought about us. I came to realize that I'm insanely in love with you, and I might someday really kill us both. You see, Stoney, I know you can never care for just one woman. You're the kind of man that has to sleep with one foot out of the bed. It's your nature, so I am not blaming you. I blame myself for not being able to accept it. Remember, Stoney, it was you that ran that nature thing down to me. And believe me, I understand. So, Daddy, it is best for both of us if we part now. Please understand, I am not blaming you for anything. I am, however, blaming your nature. You once told me some men have to search the whole deck to find the ace. Well, I guess you're one of those men. Please send me my insurance papers and you can keep everything else. Who knows? Perhaps they will give you reason to remember me. On the other hand, a man such as yourself just might come up with a girl big enough to wear them. Signed, Slim.
Chapter 25. I pulled the high one's coat to what happened between me and Slim.
"Honey, hush. Don't let it stop life."
He went on to say that he blowed the girl too. It was the same nappy-headed bitch that had been giving me the road trouble. Right then he asked me to drop him at the 7th Avenue pool room. He had his cue and a date to play Bill. When I got to the pool room, I double parked in front and we both got out. Just as we were about to enter the pool room, the law that has the block said,
"Hold everything, Stonewall. I want to shake you down."
I eyed my move and wondered how he came to know my name. Then I realized all the fellows had been calling me by the name of Stonewall. The high one was still standing at the door of the pool room, looking back at me and the law. I knew I was clean, so I let him humiliate himself. After he found me clean, he hit for my car twisters to shake it down. He made it a point to let me know if he found something in it, I'd blow it along with my liberty, but I knew it was also clean. I told him that I was hip to the law, and I felt I needed a witness to him shaking my ride down because some New York dicks will put something in it and try to get you to give up some bread just to let you go. I looked at all the fellows that were standing around hawking everything to see who I'd pick for a witness. I didn't want to call the high one because he had a blow on him. I dug C. Rouse, a cat that blowed sacks with CB when he was in town at the Apollo, but there was the chance that he was dirty too. Then I dug Top, who was the brother to one of the high one's girls.
Top, baby, the law plans to run through my ride to look for something. Whatever it is, I ain't hip to it. Stand by and see to it that I get a fair shake.
Then I said to the roller,
You don't mind, do you?
He said it was cool, and I put my twisters on him. He did what he said he was gonna do and found me as clean as a hound's tooth. You see, in New York, there's a policeman that had damn near all the blocks that are known for some kind of underworld money being made. Every nigga that's doing anything wrong and getting an underworld buck gotta give the law a taste or he'll be given a hard time. I knew I was wrong by not putting a gapper from my drug business on him, but as long as he didn't mention it to me, why should I wake him up? All in all, I'd say the policeman on my block really had it made because he was getting a bigger buck than any nigga on the stem, plus his policeman's pay. You might not like it, but that's life in the apple, and it does give you a sense of protection. Me, well, I was trying to get away with 100% gravy, and I knew it was bogue. After the shakedown of my wheel, he pulled me over to the door of the car and said,
Look, Stonewall, you've been jungling dope around the corner for a long time now, and you ain't gave me a hot dime. Now listen to what I'm saying. You can take care of your business around this block and have no fear of getting cracked if you treat me like a man. Or man, if you keep playing me for a chump, I'm gonna bend over backward to hurt you. I've been watching you go in and out of the hotel, and man, I know what you're doing.
He was calling the right shots about me, and yet I still didn't want to cop out. For some reason, I never liked copping out to a policeman, so I said,
Look, Hoop, I don't know where you got your wire, but I do know your wires are crossed. I ain't doing nothing in this block to make a living. Man, I got a couple of girls, and my living comes from them. I get my bread from just two spots in New York, Lenox Avenue near 111th Street and the club on Lower 3rd Ave. So Hoop, old dude, you shot a blank this trip.
Stonewall, you're a fool,
he said.
I know about Curry and Slim, but this kind of shit don't mean a damn thing to me. Stop pushing it, Stonewall. I told you what you're doing that interests me, so man, stop playing games. Take care of me and stay out of prison. Now you know you can't stand police heat on your ass, so give up a few bucks a week and relax.
Well, since he was really hip to me, I thought it was wise to look out for him, so I went along with his shakedown. After all, he didn't want my soul, so old Hoot and me reached an adult understanding with each other. The high one went into the pool hall to bump heads with his birdness, and I anchored outside, rapping with my man C. Rouse. Chapter 26. Corrie came from Danbury a week before she should have. I could tell from her eyes that my only real woman wasn't feeling well. She said she was cool, just a cold.
I'll be solid in a day or two.
She cracked. Then I began to smell an odd odor around the pad. It was the odor of something dead. To be honest with you, it smelled like a dead rat. As time passed, it got so bad till I couldn't sleep in the same bed with her. And it was this that caused me to get her to confess that she had had an abortion 5 days before. My God, my girl had been working with a dead baby inside her for 5 days. Oh Lord, my God, I thought. My girl was dying on her feet and had told me nothing, and she was still trying to work. Wow, what a girl. This put me in a strain because I had to spend $75 a day just for penicillin to keep the poison from the dead kid from killing my girl. Plus, my Jones cost me a nice taste every day of the week, 365 days a week. In short, it ran me close to $300 a day to make it. On the 8th day, I told her she had to take me to the person that had given her the abortion. She was really looking like death was going to take her at any moment. So when we got to the lady's house, I found she couldn't speak anything but Spanish, even though she was as black as I am. So I had to tell Corrie what to tell her. I told her to tell her that I knew who she was, and if anything happened to Corrie in any way, I'd come looking for her to do to her what she did to Corrie. Corrie told her all that I said, and the old lady told her to walk a lot, that it will help it to come out. When we entered our pad, we were so beat that we fell out across the bed and laid out for damn near an hour. She got up and fixed something to pack, and after we'd eaten, we went to sleep. I was sleeping in another room due to the fact that I couldn't take that rotten smell. The morning when she got up, she dug what was left of the kid all over the bed. She had had 6 abortions during the time I'd had her, and she went back to work like nothing had happened. The doctor said her breed of womanhood were the only ones who could stand up behind that many abortions. So I retired her so she could live the life of a mother with 2 kids. Right now, she is married to a cat who rents Cadillac cars for a living, and she's doing quite well for herself. I shall be forever grateful to her and her thoughtfulness and her warm personal concern. Keep that chin high and try never forgetting me, as I shall never forget loving you, and I shall be forever grateful to you for the years that you gave me. So I f***ed around and copped a girl called Joyce, which kept the ball rolling. My bank book was still righteous as it ever was. Then one night, when I came into the bar, my man pulled me over and said,
Stoney, the man just left here and he told me to hip you to the fact he had a sale on you.
A sale? Me? JJ, they gotta be bullshitting. They must want to roll me. It can't be a sale.
Nay, baby, I doubt if it's bullshit. I think it's for real,
he said.
It can't be a sale, JJ, because I never sold anything to anybody who I didn't know.
Yeah, but you know you don't have to put it in the man's head to get a sale on you.
JJ was right. You didn't have to give it to the man to get a sale on you. So the rabbit in me caused me to pull my bread out of the bank and cop me a kilo of cocaine and a kilo of heroin. And I always did have some stuff in the car for my personal use, and I set out for Detroit, leaving everything I had in the Bronx and Manhattan. I left it all, and I hit the turnpike. When I hit Cleveland, I pulled off the turnpike to see how my man was doing. I went by a hotel on Quincy to get a make on Art. I was told he was uptight and didn't have a pad. I went to my room and shot some cocaine, and as soon as it hit me, I thought about Ohio being the state where a guy got 99 years for dope. I hurried and closed my bag and got back on the turnpike. Once I was on the pike, I stopped and ate and shot some cocaine. The cocaine had me jumpy, so I hit the highway. I wasn't on it, but about 10 minutes when I dug the light on top of a police car behind me, I panicked. I cracked the door and spilled all the stuff out on the turnpike and dropped the bags. When the law pulled me over, all they wanted to tell me that I had one light on. They didn't even look into the car. I had both lights when I hit the high beam, and all they told me was to have it fixed at the next plaza I came to. I stood looking back down the pike at all the snow and where I drop all the dope till my feet got cold. Then I got back into the car to warm myself and think of my next move. After much thought, Detroit was the spot for me to go to, since it had been over the time for the statute of limitation law. Chapter 27. I've been to prison 7 times in my life, and I've had a habit 30 years. And out of the 7 times I've been to prison, I have done only 11 years and 11 months. The last time I was in New York, I was with a gem of a woman, and I tore my Cadillac up on Lexington Avenue. I have but one regret, and that's the fact I used heroin most of my life, and I blame by being in prison as often as I was on Joe Chink. The price that Joe Chink had cost me throughout these years would astound you, because as I look back on it, even I find it quite hard to believe. Still, however, I could say with all sincerity that Joe Chink has never had me. I've always had him, or was in prison. He caused some addicts to sit around dope pads and beg for just a few drops of the stuff. He caused some addicts to answer the doors in dope joints. Some clean up the pad like women. Some allow themselves to be put under the gun like fall guys. Some allow themselves to be talked to like punks, and a great many of them are patsies just for the sake of being near the most worthy Mr. Joe Chink. He is the bad motherfucker who will wake you up out of a sound sleep when he needs you. Joe Chink is the gent that will cause you to wake up in the mornings looking around the pad for something, anything to steal. He is the fellow that will rob you of all your outlook on life. Now just think about that. Womanhood, the thrill of it, all gone just for the sake of old Joe. Think about the thrill of eating like you once did. Now think about those hot dogs, soda pop, ice cream, and all that other bullshit that Joe Chink is causing you to eat. I lived in New York for 15 years and lived in grand style. I've been to Havana, Cuba, Acapulco, Mexico, San Juan, Puerto Rico, Canada, and I've seen the Hicks point in awe at the out-of-state tags on the cars that line the street of Walnut Avenue on the first Saturday in May of each year. Yeah, I've taken Joe Chink on a joyful ride through Frontier Street in Las Vegas, Nevada. I have given him baths in the mineral water at Hot Springs, Arkansas. I've also taken him to a great many jazz festivals at Peabody Park during the Newport Jazz concerts. Yeah, baby. God knows I enjoyed the set at seeing the King crowned at the festival held each year in New Orleans. Well, as you no doubt are hip to, I could take you down near everywhere in these United States with Mr. Wong. But since this is a book and it has to end somewhere, I shall ice it right now so I can bring this morbid confession to an end. I want you to know that all the places I've told you where I took Joe Chink are 100% kosher, and I went to them all in first-class condition. You see, I knew it was I who had the habit and not the habit having me, and God knows I've paid for it with blood, as you already know. This I say to all parents who have teenage kids. I have been reading the past few years about some kind of gap between the older people and the younger ones. I can't say if you alone are able to fill that gap or not. If you can't, then I feel it imperative that you, as a parent, come to learn just what your kids are talking about. There are many old words that now have new meanings. Words that can mean more than just one thing. Words are also part of the drug subculture, the private world of those individuals who choose to use drugs without medical supervision. Those people have developed a language of their own to set themselves apart from the squares and to protect themselves by masking or concealing their conversations. The liveliness and color of the drug jargon has captured the imagination of the young people, and it has, to some extent, crept into common usage. Should one of your kid's pals come to your home and ask your kid to come on with him so he could buy your kid some candy, what would you think? If you thought the kid was really going to take your child to the candy store, you could very well be wrong. The candy could be some kind of barbiturate. Well, I said it from the jump. Only a fool such as myself would write a confession as morbid as this. But I would like to leave you with some words to remember me by, and they go something like this. The clock of life is wound but once, and no man has the power to tell just where the hands will stop, at late or early hour. To lose one's wealth is sad indeed. To lose one's health is more. To lose one's soul is such a loss as no man can restore. The present is our own. Live, love, toil with a will. Place no faith in tomorrow, for the clock may then be still. I hope you enjoyed the Andrew Stonewall Jackson miniseries on Ralph Reads. I would like, or rather love, to thank you, queens and kings, fellow royalty, for stopping by. If you would like to leave a small donation or connect with me on social media, please go to www.solo.to/RGMC2407. Follow the Art of Bounce podcast on ForceFed Digital, either on its own YouTube channel or wherever you stream your favorite podcasts, such as Amazon, Spotify, or Apple. Now, with that being said, check out that or right here, the United Ronin Networks. We are Ronin. Fellow royalty, pick up a good book, read a good story, and set your good self free. I appreciate you and I love you like cooked food. I will see you folks for the next edition of Ralph Reads. To those I might have offended, don't be so long-winded. I'm sure something else I do